Here. I'm very happy to be here. My name is Brahmachari Jamal. I stay in our Pune community. And in case you're trying to figure out my accent, I've been living here in India with Ananda Sangha for 13 years, but I was originally born in America. And it's a great joy to be sharing the teachings of Paramahansa Yoganandaji together today. And I hope also to be a channel for Swami Kriyanandaji, that I lived with him for many years. He completely transformed my life, and it's my duty for the rest of this incarnation to share what I have learned from him with everyone else. So from his book this morning, Affirmations for Self-Healing, we're going to read from it and then do an affirmation together. And this morning's topic is, without peace, how is bliss possible? So the reading from this is simply called Peace of Mind. Peace of mind is the result not of money in the bank, but of prayer and meditation. The more one contacts God in meditation, the more he feels descending upon him a blanket, as it were, of inner peace, cooling his body, calming his restless impulses, and thrilling his nerves with ever new delight. Peace is like a weightless waterfall, washing away all worries and bestowing a new, glad sense of confidence. Peace of mind is his who knows that God is his only treasury. And so the affirmation today is, from pools of inner peace, I sip the sparkling waters of thy peace. I'm sorry, let me repeat it again so we can say it together properly. It is, from pools of inner silence, I sip the sparkling waters of thy peace. From pools of inner silence, I sip the sparkling waters of thy peace. So let's say it together. First, let's say it very loud. I want everyone to feel it there, awake and ready. So very loudly with me. From pools of inner silence, I sip the sparkling waters of thy peace. From pools of inner silence, I sip the sparkling waters of thy peace. From pools of inner silence, I sip the sparkling waters of thy peace. From pools of inner silence, I sip the sparkling waters of thy peace. From pools of inner silence, I sip the sparkling waters of thy peace. From pools of inner silence, I sip the sparkling waters of thy peace. From pools of inner silence, I sip the sparkling waters of thy peace. From pools of inner silence, I sip the sparkling waters of thy peace. From pools of inner silence, I sip the sparkling waters of thy peace. From pools of inner silence, I sip the sparkling waters of thy peace. And now mentally, from pools of inner silence, I sip the sparkling waters of thy peace. And now please pray with me, repeat after me. All that I own is thine. Help me to know thee as the river of peace, running silently beneath the sands of my life's experiences. Om. Peace. Amen. So without peace, how is bliss possible? I believe everyone in this room understands that the purpose of life is to experience and feel bliss. That every human being, it's what unites us all, that we are all looking for happiness. That even the worst criminal who thinks by killing another human being he will get revenge, the reason he does that is because he believes it will make him happy. He thinks that revenge will make him happy, and in his own limited, animalistic consciousness, it will make him happy, but it's limited, and we all know that for evil acts, that there's karma, and that we will pay heavily if we do such an evil act. So slowly we go through many incarnations, trying to understand how is it that we can achieve this perfect joy that we're looking for, There's so many souls in this world right now, roaming in ignorance, roaming in darkness, who don't even believe in their conscious mind that having perfect joy is possible. But we know somewhere in our souls that it is possible, and we're trying to figure out how we can do it. And, we search in a million different ways. This is a little joke. Perhaps you'll find it as funny as I do, but during World War II, there was a man who went to boot camp. That before you go to the war, they take you to this training camp. So he went to boot camp, and instead of doing all of the running and jumping through the hoops and the pull-ups and all of this, that his drill sergeants, they would yell at him and say, "What are you doing? Come here, go back, do your pull-ups." And he'd say, "Yes, sir," and he'd do one pull-up, and then he'd go and he'd wander off, and he'd find a piece of paper on the ground, and he'd look at it. "No, this isn't it." And then he'd run away. "Oh, look, another piece of paper. No, this isn't it." And those drill sergeants say, "Son, you better shape up." And they'd try to yell at him as best as they could, but no matter how much yelling they had, they'd find him wandering off, picking up little pieces of paper. "No, this isn't it." And so after a while, they just became tired of this. They said, "Son, you go see the camp psychiatrist. You need to shape up." So they sent him to the camp psychiatrist. And in the camp psychiatrist room, this man was more than happy. There was pieces of paper all over, and he was picking them up. "No, this isn't it. No, this isn't it." And the psychiatrist watched his behavior for a few minutes, tried to get him away from all of the papers that were scattered around his room and the desk. And finally, the camp psychiatrist said, "I need to recommend this man for discharge, that he's a little bit poggle, as it might be." So the psychiatrist wrote out that this man is discharged from the army. He's no longer fit to serve. He's a little bit crazy. And the man picks up that piece of paper and he says, "This is it!" And so he was able to not have to go to war by acting a little bit crazy. But we too, we go through countless incarnations, trying everything that you could think of, looking for happiness. But we forget the actual thing, that it's within ourselves. But now the topic of this morning is that the first step, before we're going to be able to find that perfect joy within ourselves, first, Krishna tells us, and this topic is from the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells us that first we have to be able to achieve peace within ourselves. So if you study the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda, he has defined calmness as a state that is dynamic. That means even while we're moving, that we still feel that peace, or in this terminology we're calling it calmness. That once Paramahansa Yogananda was late to give a lecture, and so he was running, and one of his students thought, "Oh, I've caught the master, he's looking a little bit nervous." And he said to the master, "You shouldn't be running all nervously." And master said, "I'm not running nervously, I'm running very calmly. But not to run at all in this situation would to be lazy. When you're late, that you should run, but you have to run calmly." And so it's for us to remember that when we're in this world, that we need to be actively calm and calmly active. Emblazon those 4 words in your mind, that it's a very important thing. I'm going to go a little bit more later on into how this world, it's very Rajasic, and it will just get you spinning and spinning until you don't know what happened and you just crash. But there's no need to live like that, that we can go through this world with peace. So calmly is when it's dynamic. You watch the Olympics every 4 years, you see those runners, they're putting out great energy. But because of all of the training that they've done, they're able to do it in a very calm way, aren't they? And the ones who have all of the muscles that aren't being used very calm, you see their faces, they're calm. They're just very calm in the face. They know that every little muscle in the face, they need that energy to be going to the legs, to be running. So with proper training, we can learn how to be calm and active in this world. That training comes in meditation. So now let's again then go to peace. What is peace? When we can still make a cessation of all activity, when we can make the waves on the ocean at our command, boom, calm. And now what is the test? How are we training? Meditation. What is the test for you? Can you sit 100% still in meditation? If you set your willpower and say, "I'm going to sit here today for 15 minutes and not move a muscle," Can you do it? If you can, very good. You're on your way to achieving this state of peace, and then we'll be able to go on to the next states of perfect bliss. But if you can't make yourself perfectly calm, it's not going to happen. You're not going to know peace, and then of course you're not going to know bliss, because you're going to be agitated on the inside. So I just spoke about keeping the body physically very still. But for those who love to study Patanjali, that we know that that's only the third step there. Then we need to go higher, and we need to go into pranayama. We need to learn how to make the breath come to peace. And then we need to go even higher, learn how to withdraw our mind, and learn how to have peace within our mind. And don't think that peace isn't that important. I want to tell you, this is an important story. It's a fun one. That we have something every year in our Pune ashram, and it's called Family Camp. And this year I was helping guide that family camp. We had about 30 people there. And we did some activities that were just team building, bring everybody together. One of the activities, now imagine this, we had 30 people, so we had 3 lines of 10 people each, okay? And each person was holding a pipe that had been cut in half, so a half pipe about this long. And then we had 3 lines, so in one line was 10 people, and the goal of this team building exercise was each team had 1 marble. And you put the marble in the pipe, and you would tilt your half pipe, so you could see it just gently, and then the next person was to catch that and tilt it just gently, and the rules were you were not allowed to let the marble go backwards. You couldn't tilt your pipe backwards, nor could you make it come to a complete stop, that the marble had to keep moving. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to think this out like an engineer. You tallest man, you over there, shortest child over here. Now this is going to flow so smoothly. Now is everybody ready? I thought I had my team just all together. And it really had nothing to do with height. You know what this exercise had to do with? Is calmness and peace. And I learned so much from that exercise because during the family camp, we had grandparents there of all different ages. We had the parents there of all different ages. Then we had children ranging from 3-year-olds. And 3-year-olds are just, they are not calmly active. They are active for sure, but they're running all over, but their energy, it's not centered at all. That it's just going everywhere. And I, unfortunately, had one of these 3-year-olds on my team, and the pipe would come to him before the marble, before it would even come, he'd he'd get so excited, here it comes, and he'd drop the marble. And then there was other 30 or 40-year-olds they were also very active. Okay, I'm ready. But I watched the 60-year-olds, 70-year-olds who had gone through life, who had learned their lessons, and they just peacefully, okay, the marble's coming. Okay, I did my job. There it goes to the next person. And the people who didn't get so excited about the exercise, who were not living in a rajasic state of consciousness, of competition, of looking, what is the other team doing? How many marbles have they got? Oh my gosh, what is my partner doing? It's his fault, not my fault. Just the older people who could do their duty, they still did their duty, but they did it from a very peaceful center. The team that had the most of those people on it, that was the team that won. That they just quietly moved that marble. And I realized this is how I need to go through life. That even when the pressures and stresses of the job look so big, when we get older, we get perspective on life. We see it's not that big. And now, when we get older spiritually, we see that even if we are the CEO of some multi-billion-dollar company, it's not that big of a deal. Relative to God, He runs universes, He runs galaxies, He's responsible for it all. So being the CEO of a company is actually nothing. And a very important point for everyone who's sitting in this room, that really the true measure of who you are is how developed you are as a soul. And if you're even interested in a theoretical knowledge of yoga, that you are more highly advanced than most of the people who are just chasing after money. So we need to do our duty. We need to have money. But it's not, do I have money or do I not have money? It's how do I do my duties. And we must do those duties with peace. So now I want to get into a little bit of understanding of the gunas. Later on, next week, I will give a full class on the gunas, so I won't go too deeply into it today. But we need to understand the gunas a little bit. Let's first start with a story like this. That if a lazy bum were to sit underneath a tree and just depend on Divine Mother to bring him food. Maybe he got up enough energy to wander around and beg for a little bit of food every day, but basically he just slept under that tree. If one day he woke up and he said, I'm tired of being a bum and just doing nothing with my life. I'm going to become a crorepati. I'm going to start with some little business, and I'm going to put all my energy into that, and I'm going to make a lot of money. Everybody would say, very good, very good. Now, if Mahatma Gandhi said, I am sick and tired of serving mankind. I've had it with you people. You're just a hassle. I'm going off. I'm going to put my mind to business and become a crorepati. Even the most greedy businessman would say something's wrong with Mahatma Gandhi. He's fallen somehow. Something's wrong. So that lets you see that there's different levels of spiritual evolution. There's different levels of us living in the gunas. The man who was sleeping underneath the tree was living in tamoguna. Everyone in this room realizes that we don't want to live in tamoguna. But even still, we need a little bit of it. Even a master will sleep a little bit. And this morning, I too fell into the trap of tamoguna once again. It's a tricky trap. That normally I wake up at about 5:45 and do my meditation. But this morning, the alarm went off and I thought, I'm supposed to give a talk on peace this morning. I deserve a little more sleep, that I have to be peaceful when I give the lecture. And I thought, yeah. And I turned off the alarm and I slept for a little bit more. But then when I got up and I sat down and I started doing Hong Sa, I thought, darn it, tricked by tamoguna again. Because in meditation I was able to get into that sattvic state, and I thought, I wish I had had more time to do even a few more kriyas and get myself even higher to this sattvic level, because that's where I enjoy living. That's where true peace is. That tamoguna, it's false peace. It's a liar. And we shouldn't give into it a little bit. We all have to sleep a little bit. The body needs a little bit of rest. But don't forget who you truly are. You are the immortal soul that is infinite energy. And never doubt that. Never deny that. Even when you're feeling a little bit tired, don't say, I am tired. That becomes a negative affirmation. Say the body needs a little rest. And it does. That's all right. But every moment, constantly remember who you are. Watch your mind. Don't let your mind lie to you. And let's go now to the next great liar there, and that's Rajoguna. That Rajoguna promises happiness. That it tells you, just go out and get this thing done and get this thing done. If I have more of this, if I have more of that, my neighbor has this kind of car, I'm going to get an even bigger, more expensive kind of car. And Rajas is competition. Sattva is unity. That tells us that we're all one. That rather than competing with one another, we need to help uplift one another. That we feel our oneness. But Rajas comes in and divides and says that we're all different. And Rajas takes a particular project and it doesn't look at what might be the consequences of not really thinking this project through. It just rushes blindly into it. It's good to have energy. Rajas is energy. But we need to think about, where is my energy going? And especially in today's world, that you pick up your mobile phone, you're already immersed in Rajas. That you've got your Facebook account, you have your 3,000 false friends, and that's Rajas, because that's saying the more I have, the happier I am. Sattva is quality. Go, ask those 3,000 friends on Facebook if they'll give you 100 rupees. See how many of them are your real friends. They'll turn away. Sattva is having real friends who are there for you when you need help, when you're down. They love you anyways. And you gain those friends by you yourself being sattvic and giving that peace, giving that love to your true friends. So it's much better to have a small sattvic group of friends than to live in Rajas and pretend. And then again, Rajas, dividing, it's just not Facebook. It's all of those other forms of social media and communication. And let's also take this as a very important point today in today's talk, that perhaps you have an office job and it's your job to send emails, but there's your mobile phone. You're trying to concentrate and ring, ring. Oh, hi, yes, sure. I will certainly get that done. No problem. Okay. Oh, SMS, beep, beep. Oh, okay, yes, yes. Don't worry, we will definitely do that. Okay, email. And we're just scattered. That's what Rajas does. But because we live with so many other Rajasic people in the world, we're all hypnotized. We're all with one another. Look how much I'm doing. Wow, you're doing very great. You're doing SMSs, you're doing this, you're running around, you're going off to Noida, you're going here, you're going there. And everybody says very good, because in this world, most people are either tamasic or they're rajasic. I have a friend in Calcutta. His boss at his office said, walk around more quickly. I want to see some pep in your step. You need to walk around and just be a little more restless. You're not being restless. It means you're not a good worker. And this person, he's a devotee. And he was looking at this boss thinking, should I be working for this guy? But that's the corporate world. It only knows tamas or it knows rajas. And so it's very important for you to come here, for you to associate with Sattvic people, for you to understand what it means to be Sattvic, because there's also levels of Sattva. That, yes, it's Sattvic to not rush around in the office place and to just focus on your one thing and get your emails done, fine. But earlier we were speaking about meditation. And we need to hit those highest levels of sattva in meditation. In fact, to be honest, we need to go beyond all three gunas in meditation. And we need to get to a point where it's just the simple isness, the being, the reality that God always has been, that God always will be. But we'll gain great peace before we achieve that. You see, that is actual bliss, is the understanding of who you truly are. And that understanding will come primarily in meditation, as you begin to understand who you are. And I want to cross-link, and I want to unite this world also by picking up this exact same topic with a quote from the Christian Bible. And that quote is, "Be still and know that I am God." And that's from the Psalms. And it's saying the exact same thing. Without peace, how is bliss possible? That we defined peace as being able, the cessation of all motion. That is, be still. And then, of course, what is God? He's perfect bliss. So, be still and know that I am God. And that also means be still and know that you are God. But you can't get there by loudly affirming to all your friends, I figured it out today, I'm God. Intuitively, your ego, it just cringes at that. You know that that's not quite right. To become who you truly are, there's no words that actually define that you can't talk about it. That Master says, he who says he is God isn't God. Well, he who says he's not God, he also isn't God. That the masters who have achieved that state, they don't outwardly talk about it. That it becomes a very quiet, inward thing. Even when you meet a saint, that they don't go around proclaiming how great they are. If they do, they're not a saint. That I saw so many people meet Swami Kriyananda, and they thought, what a wonderful, nice man, very nice. But they missed that they hadn't raised their level of consciousness to understand where he was actually coming from. I think it was last night I was saying, how can the little cup hold the whole ocean? That we have to expand our consciousness in order to gain the consciousness of the Master. And that's where Kriya Yoga, that's where all of the techniques come in. That by daily doing those techniques, we expand our consciousness so that we can remember who we truly are. And the beautiful thing about the spiritual path is the Guru also, not only do we have to do yoga by our own effort, the Guru will come in and give his effort also and help expand our consciousness. The only thing we really have to do is want to become a better person. And again, let's tie this wanting together with the gunas. That Raja Yoga is when our wants are out of control. And we want this, and we want this, and we want this, and we fulfill that desire, like the man in World War II, and then we realize that's not it. But as we become more and more sattvic, we realize that desires haven't worked. And our desires, we realize we want only one desire, and that is God alone. Yet, we have to live in this world practically. So, one thing that you can do in order to have more peace in your life is go home this afternoon and separate mentally. Perhaps you can make a list of your needs versus your wants. Because there are certain things. We do need food. We do need sleep. We do need to spend time with our family. But we don't have to have the million things that you see on TV and the advertisements to be happy. All the billboards that you see outside of the big malls that are now here in Delhi. You don't need all those things. Remember Paramahansa Yoganandaji's words, simple living, high thinking. It really, again, we're all hypnotized because all of our friends say that we need this, we need that, we need the latest phone. You don't. You need love. You need peace. You need a little bit of food. And even as you become a high enough, great enough master, even that, if your lunch comes, all right. If your lunch doesn't come, it's all right. And that's what it means to be even-minded. It's to have that state of peace. And the highest understanding, the highest consciousness is to understand that it's God who's doing everything. That it's God who's bringing us our lunch. It's God who's eating our lunch through us. And when we can begin to feel that it's God who's eating our lunch through us, we begin to offer up that activity to Him. And then we begin to offer up everything. And in that is the greatest freedom. When you begin to feel that it's God who's doing everything, you're no longer responsible. But our little ego likes to come in and say, yeah, but, if I don't do it. And it's the greatest conundrum. Am I the one that has to do it? Or is it God that has to do it? But slowly just try to give your life a little bit more to God. Here's another very deep point of philosophy, but it's very much worth considering and meditating on later on. And this is in the Autobiography of the Yogi. If you've read it, read it again. And read it again. Here's a little line that may have slipped by you, but this is in the chapter about Master Mahashaya. And he said in there, or Paramahansa Yogananda said about him, that he no longer considered his thoughts his own. That he felt that every thought that was coming into his mind was coming from his master, Ramakrishna Paramahansa. Can you understand? Can you even begin to understand that state of consciousness? That every single thought that was coming, he was, thank you, Master. Or, Master, what should we do? Thank you, Master, for giving the right thought in my mind. What kind of freedom then is that? That we don't even have to worry, am I having the right thought? That we're so in tune with our Master that we know that He's giving us the right thought. It reminds me of another thing in Autobiography of a Yogi. When Paramahansa Yoganandaji, this is actually, let's go a little back in that chapter. It makes me feel really good. That Paramahansa Yogananda was meditating, and he said he was meditating like his mind, like leaves in a storm. His mind was just scattered, Rajoguna. And Sri Yukteswar was scolding him and said, come here. And Master said, I'm not going there. I'm meditating. He's always urging me to meditate. Now he's telling me to come here. What does this man know? I'm meditating. And Sri Yukteswar scolded him, I know how you're meditating with your mind like leaves in a storm. You come here. And during that moment, Sri Yukteswar tapped him on the chest. Boom. Perfect peace, which allowed him to go through that chakra of peace. Boom. Into samadhi. And that perfect stillness and realization of who he truly was. So I love that part of the story because our meditations will go up and down. That it's not going to be this meditation 20 minutes, this one 30, this one 40, this one 50, charted out on your calendar. I'm going to be in samadhi in 3 months. I'm going to be meditating 24 hours a day. It's not like that. And so the fact that Master had that difficult time and then he got samadhi lets us feel that really all we have to do is just keep going. But I brought this whole story up because after he goes into samadhi, he asks Sri Yukteswar, when will I find God? And Sri Yukteswar, so you read that and you think, he just had the highest experience there is, oneness with all of creation, perfect joy in meditation. And now he comes back out from that state and he says, when will I find God? And you think you just found him. What is there something, is he hiding something from us? That there's something higher than Nirvikalpa Samadhi and there's some secret Autobiography of a Yogi Part 2? And once we get to Samadhi, then we're going to get these secret teachings. But no, it's not like that. That Sri Yukteswar says, ever new joy is God, and that you will feel that in meditation. But here's the beautiful part. Also, you will feel that when you come out in your daily activity. And Master writes that he did realize that God was guiding him. Even in his daily activity, he would recall that bliss, and then he would be guided and know exactly what to do, just like Master Mahashaya. So these states, it takes us time to get to, but we will get to it. And I was reflecting just now of what it felt like to be in Swami Kriyananda's presence. And I want to tell that story, and we will have to end here soon because we'll do a blessing and that will take time. But in Swami Kriyanandaji's presence, I would go with all of these intellectual questions that, I wanted to know just about everything, that I literally felt that there's God. When I was in his presence, something intuitively knew that he knew everything, and even beyond that. And intellectually, it was great. I can ask him anything. It was like being able to go to God himself, and you could ask anything. And I would think of all these intellectual questions. But sometimes I would go to him, and those questions, they would just poof. And I feel so nice. Who cares? I feel so nice. Remember that, because as you touch those states in meditation, you were born here. God put you on this planet to trace your way back home to that state. So all those intellectual things, all the things that you think are more important, they're not. That your most important duty, your most important thing is to find God. And the first step here at today's topic and lecture is finding God as peace. And then the second step will be finding God as infinite bliss. The last story I want to tell about Swami Kriyananda is, he said, peace is my bottom line. That if it's going to take away my inner peace, I won't do it. So if he had too many projects lined up, rather than rajasically trying to pretend he was king of the universe outwardly, even though he was inwardly, he realized that we all have limitations outwardly. So he would have to say no. And so there's some things in this life that we just have to say no to. And it takes a great courage sometimes to be true to your own self. That there's a Greek proverb, to thine own self be true. Don't let this world tell you what to do. Yes, listen to those who have wisdom and all of that. But the average person in this world is just a rajasic fool, running around in circles, not even wise enough to know that he's going in circles, and not even with enough memory to realize the same thing he did 3 days ago didn't work to make him happy, and he's doing it again. Don't do that. Don't be like that. To thine own self be true. Go within. Make peace your bottom line. That don't let anything in this world take away your peace. If some project's going to take away your peace, refuse to do it. Look for projects, look for jobs, look for friends that are going to increase your inner peace. Cultivate that inner peace. The same way many of you must know that when a child is first born, how precious that little child is. That you're going to do everything you can to protect that little newborn baby. That you won't let this world hurt that newborn baby whatsoever. You need to treat your inner peace with that much seriousness. That it is as serious as a newborn baby. And you need to cultivate, you need to protect, you need to realize how sacred that inner peace is, so that you can hold on to that inner peace, so that you can become a channel for that inner peace, so that you can be working for God instead of your own ego, and giving that inner peace to everyone. And when you feel that inner peace so deeply, then God will say, very well, this is my son, in whom I am well pleased. And God will give you the highest experiences of his bliss, and you will have them forever. And those will never be able to be taken away from you ever again. For all eternity, you once again will live in perfect freedom. Thank you so much for listening to this brief satsang.